Is it possible to still make money in the off-plan market in Dubai in 2024? Well, in this video, I'm going to break this down for you so you fully understand before you make an investment if it still is the right opportunity for you. What's going on, guys? My name is Butler. As always, I am bringing you the most informative real estate content in the whole of Dubai. I offer everybody the opportunity to book a free 30-minute call with me. All is what you need to do is go below, book a call, and I'll see you there. If you're not ready to make a call and you want to see some options, then join my mailing list, because on that mailing list, I'm not going to spam you. Don't worry. I'm just going to send you some property opportunities, some market updates, and general information that's good to know about the Dubai market. Okay, so let's get into it. It goes without saying that the Dubai off-plan market was taken by a storm. Over the past few years, we have seen record-breaking transactions. Even in 2024, we're still seeing increases from 2023. And in 2023, we absolutely smashed the year with real estate from 2022, and it's just continuously been growing. So obviously, that begs the question, is there still money to make? If you buy off-plan, can you still make it? So there's no real right way to make this video. And I wanted to make it in a way that, I feel is probably the most informed way, I would say. And what I need to tell people is that, everything I am saying is based on the speculation of the growth of the market. But not only that, use me as a perfect case study as somebody that lives and works here. I used to think that Dubai, wasn't for me when I first moved here. I used to think maybe this was just a transitional place. But honestly, this is a place I call home. There is nowhere better that I could see myself living right now as a young guy, living his best life with, an amazing place with growth and opportunity. So I'm not just talking, from speculative growth based off figures, although that is very important, but also based on my own personal experience. And, the fact that I have many clients from all over the world who are not just investing and parking money in Dubai, they're actually moving here. They're relocating their families, they're selling their businesses, they're moving their assets, they're moving their wealth from all parts of the world. So I think that's very important to know. So for all of those people that say Dubai's a bubble, it's going to crash and all that kind of stuff, you just need to look from, a bigger picture perspective. You can't just assume that because Dubai's had its downtrends in the past, that it's going to repeat itself, because I believe that this time it's different. But anyway, you're not here to listen to that. Let's get straight into it and why I think Dubai is still going to make you money. Okay, so I like to break it down into like the classes of how much things cost you, okay? And what I mean by that, let's talk about the budgets, because it goes without saying that a lot of people have budgets, say between 700,000 and let's say up to 2 million dirhams, okay? Now, within this price range, there have been an enormous amount of launches, with great payment plans and, very good assets that, developers are offering to people. Now, within this class, I would strongly say that, if you are looking or your only objective is to flip a property and make cash, then this might not be the best way to go about it. And what I mean by that is, as expected, there have been a lot of launches and there's a lot of supply within this price range, okay? So by the time all of these properties are going to be handed over, there's going to be a decent amount of competition, but, a healthy amount, okay? I'm not saying it's going to be oversupplied. I'm talking about a healthy amount of competition. But what I mean by that, when people have a lot of choice, okay, and a lot of good developers are handing over projects, you can't expect to come in here and say, I'm going to make 30, 40, 50% ROI based on the money you put in, okay? So for somebody that's looking for a quick flip, they want to get in and out, they want to cash out and just keep going and flipping and going and flipping, then I wouldn't say off-plan is probably the best opportunity for you. You can clearly go and see my other videos where I'm talking about property redevelopment. So where we purchase older properties in good locations, renovate them and flip them. Because if that's kind of what you want to do and you want to get in and out fast, then you shouldn't really be looking for off-plan, especially if it's ready in 4 or 5 years. It's a long-term game. Now, between this asset class of this amount, let's say, like I said, between 600 or 700 up to 2 million dirhams, this, what I would class as a perfect cash flow asset. And what I mean by that is we only need to look at the types of people that are in Dubai. There's a lot of young people moving here, people who are coming to seek out new opportunities, and they're always going to need a place to rent, right? So whether or not that's someone who's just came out here, like when I first came out here, renting a studio, and then they gradually start earning more money, so they go to a 1-bed, and then they go to a 2-bed. Eventually they might buy, but for the majority of the time when they first move here, they're going to rent properties, okay? So that's where if you own a property between 600,000 dirhams and up to 2 million dirhams, let's say it's a studio, 1-bed, or even a 2-bed, okay? Well, there is always going to be a demand for people wanting to rent out properties within that price range, because the rent's not going to be too extortionate, okay? So if you are coming into the market with the idea of, getting a property for cash flow, then that kind of budget would sit between, getting yourself like an asset that will generate great ROI. How much that ROI will just depend on the market conditions of when, it's handed over, and the developer and the location, of course, all those things, but generally between sort of like 6, 7, potentially even 8%. Sometimes, people, the market shoots up in rental value and you can get 10%, 12%, you can even get 20%, who knows? But being realistic and honest, you've got to expect somewhere between 6 and 8%. The general ROI across Dubai, by the way, is not 10, 15%, like a lot of people say, okay? It's around 5 to 6%. Which is still a good ROI, but of course, people want more, and that's just about being selective about the prices and where you purchase it and who you purchase it from and how much you got it for. And again, like I said, within that asset class, it doesn't mean that you can't expect appreciation, but I would say generally in today's market, maybe you expect 5, 10, 15%, potentially even 20%, appreciation of growth on that budget, okay? Now let's move into the 3 to 5 million dirhams range, okay? This is what I would sort of say lower to mid range investment, okay? Still, it's well over $1 million. It's still, considerable amount of money to invest in a property. But, as per what we're talking and what scale I'm using, this is sort of like your lower to mid. Now, obviously, when you sort of branch into this category of budget, that's when you can start buying properties in more favorable locations or more built up areas. For example, maybe in downtown or the marina or Business Bay or, other surrounding areas like that, okay? Potentially Shoba Heartland. The list could go on, but I'm not here to talk about specific areas. Now, when you kind of get into this, you can start to expect maybe a 2-bedroom, potentially up to 5 million, a 3-bedroom, maybe even a small townhouse. Well, of course, you can definitely get small townhouses for this kind of budget. And that's where you will start to notice, there's going to be better chance of appreciation. For example, if you're going to buy like a large 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom in a great location or even a townhouse community, this is where we're generally seeing a little bit more appreciation. So, and good ROI at the same time. All right. So once you start branching into that budget, that's where you can expect to get, maybe, a great ROI, but also rather than 10 or 15% appreciation, that's where we can maybe see 20 to 30%. Because again, you've probably bought from a better quality developer because, you're spending more money and you've probably bought in a better location, from someone who's just maybe spent 600,000 dirhams. And I'm not saying someone who spent 600,000 dirhams has bought, a bad property, but the idea is that you're probably not going to buy something from one of the big developers like Emar, Shoba, Miras, or any one of those guys, right? Now, within this price range, you can actually expect to be buying from the top tier developers, okay? You've got your Ellington, you've got your Shoba, you've got your Damac, you've got Miras and Akil. These types of developers are the ones that sort of start their budgets or start their price points around this. Again, I can't talk for every launch. I can't talk for every developer because it's so different and diverse. But if you're looking for like appreciation and a great ROI, then 3 to 5 million mark, you can definitely expect that. I'd say ROI is probably somewhere similar from what I said at the start, but also the appreciation, in my opinion, would be greater in a property investment around this size. So let's take it up a notch. Let's say you want to spend between 7 and 10 million dirhams. Because at this price point, right, you can start getting into your standalone villas, maybe your large 3-beds, even a 4-bed. Or then you could even start looking at Palm Jumeirah, for example, and you can start looking in the more prime locations, not just, Business Bay and downtown. You can start looking on the Palm or the waterfront locations. Now, people who buy assets within this class are the ones that are going to, again, start seeing even greater appreciation. Now, for someone who is looking to flip a property, this is where I would start to look and sort of point my attention to, because again, once you can start branching into the small villa market or even, high floor on the Palm Jumeirah, your SLS residences, your Ellington beachfront properties, all these kinds of things. This is what ultimately, in my opinion, is going to bring a lot more appreciation because you can be buying assets that, people want, all right? Because if you've got people moving over, wealthy individuals moving over from wherever they're moving from in the world, and they want something to move in straight away, they're going to look at what's new, what's branded, what's good. And again, this is where you can start tapping into the branded residences and the things that, have made a real big show of marketing and stuff like that. So between that 7 and 10 million mark, that's where it gets a bit interesting for people looking to flip properties. From an ROI perspective, I would say you can still make great return on investment from a rental point of view as well. But, you're going to start creeping into, which we're going to talk about now, the 10 to 20 million mark. This is where, when we talk about return on investment from rental, it's that kind of area where, you're starting to pay a couple of $1 million now for a property. You got to realistically think, how much is someone going to rent a property out within that sort of budget, okay? Because when we're talking about 10 to 20 million dirhams, that's when what I would class as your upper mid-level luxury, because then you can start looking at potentially penthouses, even bigger standalone villas, potentially on or near a lagoon. This kind of starts to fall in that sort of trophy asset category, but also from an appreciation point of view, between 10 and 20 million dirhams, if you can get like a large 5-bedroom standalone villa with its own pool near a lagoon. Well, if we look at today's market conditions, and you go and tell me I want a 5-bedroom on a lagoon or close to a lagoon, you're probably dreaming, There is just nothing available at that kind of price range. If we look at something near the beachfront, for example, Palm Jumeirah, you only need to look on Property Finder to see that the standard unrenovated garden homes start at 25, 26 million dirhams before they've even had a lick of paint in the last 10 years. When we look at them in the renovated category, they start to reach that 40, 50, 55 million dirham mark. All right. And this, you'd be buying something brand new. So you could be buying in like a top tier area like Dubai Hills. You could be looking at the Acres by Miras. The list goes on. Again, I could talk about these forever, but just to give you an idea, in this category of 10 to 20 million, this is again where I'd probably say it's still very good for a potential flip when it's ready. Go and look at the Royal Atlantis. People have made hundreds, I think thousands of % from when they bought it. They've more than doubled their properties, or even the one by Omniat. You've got Orla by Omniat as well. You start branching into the sort of top tier boutique luxury developers, not your mainstream Emaar, Damax, Showbers. You start to get, the slightly upper class luxury, what I like to call it. All right. So for somebody looking for, again, that ROI perspective, I would say for rental, you may be looking around the 5-6% mark, because there's no way that, sometimes you can charge. Sometimes you can. Of course, people pay 2, 3, 4 million dirhams in rent a year, but it's not always the easiest to be renting things out at that price point. But then from a flipping point of view, it would be a very ideal budget, okay? And then when we start branching out, again, the list could go on. We've got properties worth 300-400 million dirhams, but I'm going to keep it quite subtle because we are on YouTube. I assume someone with hundreds and hundreds of million dirhams may not come and watch my video, but who knows? But when we start looking at the 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 million dirham mark, that's when I would start to class the ultra luxury, okay? Because then we start looking at properties worth $10 million and whatever, the list goes on. But around this price point, I would say this is more your trophy assets, okay? Probably not good very much at all for ROI perspective, and I imagine somebody purchasing a property at this price point isn't too bothered about rental yield. But again, trophy asset and the chance for extreme appreciation, okay? Because again, you can tap into that 1% of buyers who are going to be looking for something when it's ready, maybe in 3 years, who would like to buy it from you. For example, like I said, the one by Omniat, all right? On the Palm Jumeirah, we're seeing transactions now between 20, 30, 40, 50 million dirhams, and these people are just walking in there paying cash for these properties, all nationalities, and they don't want to buy something off plan and wait 4 years. These guys may have just moved over with their family and they just want something turnkey, ready to go. And again, if you're willing to take the hit of waiting a few years and buying the off plan and benefiting from great appreciation and tying your money up for a few years, to be honest, but that's okay, because at this price point, that's when, you're going to start seeing that real great appreciation, because there's a very good chance if you do select the right project, you've bought an extremely, rare trophy asset. Okay, so to conclude, I hope you found this video somewhat useful for yourself. So like I say to everybody, the answer to the question, can you still make money in off-plan in 2024? I still do believe that you can absolutely make money. I just think that you have to be relatively selective. You don't want to be overpaying for a property. You need to look at and set your expectations. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that you can make 20% the month after you purchase off plan. Like some developers or agents may tell you just to do the sale. I'll be very honest, transparent and truthful. I think you can still make money. I think you just got to bear the grunt of actually waiting for the property to be developed. For some people, that's a blessing, because obviously, the payment plan favors for a lot of people, and they like the thought of no interest, paying it over time. Perfect. I'll just sit and wait for it to be ready. But other people that are looking for that sort of quick in and out flip, then I would say go and look at the secondary market, go and potentially look at buying something, that's ready in bad condition, renovating it and reselling it for sort of those faster returns. But listen, the possibilities are endless in Dubai. I strongly believe the economy has got a huge way to go. I think that, you know, they're constantly thriving, they're making things better, even when we have catastrophes, you know, like the floods, for example, which I'm sure everyone's heard of. You know, they do make improvements. They've already pledged to put 80 billion dirhams into, you know, making the sewage system better. You tell me what country does that fast, because I guarantee Dubai are going to do that super fast. So all of these factors, I do strongly believe here. I won't believe in here. So I'm going to be able to manage your assets and help you grow a very profitable portfolio. Like I said, if you need any more information, book a call below, or of course, join the mailing list, and we will be sending you emails on a weekly basis. All right, well, thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.